Hello students, this is a video made by me, for you, for those who still don't understand what to do in the TOK exhibition practice. We are practicing as a project, a TOK exhibition, which is basically an internal assessment, as mentioned here, right? In the internal assessment for TOK, you usually have to show how TOK is reflected in the real world in a very coherent, relevant, and focused way. For the real TOK exhibition, you have to choose and do this with 3 objects, but for this test, for this summative project, you only have to choose 1. Okay? What do you need to do? Well, the final delivery is the handwritten commentary, which that is for next week, which would be around 29 January. Right now we're in January 23, as you can see here. Let's talk about the first step, which is something that you should deliver this week. On the 23, you have to deliver the draft delivery, which let's talk about the draft directly. The draft indicates the IA prompt. Your IA prompt is this one of these ones. You have to choose one of them, and after choosing one of them, you think about the key concept, the TOK key concept that you want to explore in that question, answering that question. For example, let's say that you want to choose to what extent is certainty attainable. Okay, you want to explore certainty attainable but related with power. That is the key concept. Even though the question is talking about certainty, for you it is important to combine both TOK concepts, certainty and power. And therefore you choose for your TOK exhibition practice, power as your key concept. That is an example. And then you have to choose an object, which here it says image caption of the object, which means that you have to tell me what the object is about. And you have to use an object that helps you answer this question. For example, let's say I'm going to use some of the students that are already using, which means that you cannot choose this example. Someone used a calculator, a very specific calculator. By the way, the object should be very specific. It cannot be a generic object. It's not like, oh, a notebook. No, it should be very specific, the type of calculator or the type of technological device that you want to explain. Okay, I want to say that the calculators, it's going to, I don't know, to what extent certainty attainable. Calculators depend on the power that it's kind of hard. With the power TOK concept, okay, I think it's hard to explore the object calculator with power, the TOK concept power. So I'm going to change the object that reflects power. Okay, I'll choose the chip or the processor for the Apollo rocket. So for me, I can explore and I can connect this object, the Apollo, what I was calling that, processor. I believe that it's a show of power between, this moment during the Cold War, where there was a very evident, fight between these two superpowers, which was USA and USSR. Okay, that is my object, that is my key concept, and that is my question. Then you have to give a brief explanation of the object's real-life context. Okay, this processor is from the Apollo 11 rocket. It was invented in blah blah blah, and it was used during the first lounges or that were successful, blah blah blah, something like that. It's very brief. You don't have to like explain more than 2 sentences. If you explain more, it's okay, but it's not brief. It should be very brief. Then you have to identify and analyze the main words of the IA prompt. Okay, then you go to your IA prompt. You say, okay, up to what extent? For me, a keyword is extent. So I find or look what the definition of what extent is. Extent or up to what extent means that I'm looking for limitations for this. This to what extent is this is asking limitations. So I write, I don't know, like let me draw in red. So this is talking about limitations. Okay, then the next word is certainty. So for me, certainty is something that is between 60% and to 90%. That for me is enough to call it certain. And attainable, okay, something I can get. So there we have. That is the analysis that I'm asking. Wait, I don't know how to go back. Okay. Then we can check this. We have the key concept, the brief explanation, the image caption, the identifying, the main words, yes. Now the link between the object and the IA prompt. Okay, this object, I can say that this object, which is the processor for the Apollo 11, this object is connected on how certainty is attainable, because this object help process with a high accuracy what the rocket should have done or did during this launching to the moon, or yes, it was to the moon. I'm pretty sure it was to the moon. Remember, we're just sketching right now. That's the point, is to sketch. Okay, that for me is the connection, and it shows that with certainty we can attain many things. Okay, something like that. Okay, we have there the link and the 2 claims, the 2 drafts of the claims. A draft to the claim would be like 2 answers of to what extent is certainty attainable. And of course, your claim should be connected with this key concept that you're exploring. If I want to say that it's power, I say that certainty is attainable according to how much power the knower or the community of knowers have. So for example, if I want to compare rockets made here in Ecuador, which is a country which, of course, does not have the amount of power that the United States had or even has right now, then our certainty is kind of lower of how to develop a good rocket, a good processor for a good rocket to send it to the moon. Okay, something like that. That is one claim. I could use another claim, but I think that you get the idea, right? And you have to give appropriate citations and reference in APSA, which means that you have to cite where the object comes from, especially if the object is not from yours. And when you give the brief explanation, you have to cite that. Where did you find that information? Because it's not that you were born with that information. You've made some kind of research, even if it wasn't with ChatGPT. You have to cite ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT to properly cite itself. In this case, I'm going to allow it, but you have to cite it. You have to cite that. So the first is the draft delivery. That is the draft. We have different dates because it goes according to the dates that we have class. The draft should be delivered in class. I'm sorry. And one of the things that the draft should be delivered handwritten. I think it does not say that here. Oh my god. It does say somewhere. I'm pretty sure about that. Both are handwritten. The final commentary and the draft. So that is the first part. That's the draft. Let's go to the next part and explain the other part. So the final commentary, it's a maximum of 300 words. Pay attention to this amount of words. It is true that I'm not saying a minimum of words. I'm saying a maximum, which means I'm going to be following the same things that, or aspects or features of how the IB program usually does, especially in TUK. In TUK, when it says 300 words and you write 320, the examiner reads only the 300 words. And the 300 words, from the 300 words 1 to the 300 words 20, it's not going to be read. So those are not going to be considered. So if you had a good concluding sentence in those 20 words, but you didn't have anything that helped to conclude your text, and that conclusion influences your final work, then that is such a pity, because the IB program says is 300 words, something like that. So pay attention to the amount of words. You're probably gonna feel like you're gonna need more than 300 words. What do you have to deliver? Well, first you have to identify the object, and then you have to say the real world context. In this part you may go a little further if you feel that it needs to, and you have to justify its inclusion, the object inclusion in the exhibition, which means that you have to explain how this object reflects TUK in the real world in a very coherent, relevant, and focused way. Okay? And then you have to link the object to the IA prompt that you mentioned. When you decide the object, pay attention that one of the things that the IB program is asking, and so am I, is that any object, whatever the object you choose to do, should be unique. Where is the outline for that? It does not say here, but it's somewhere in the Moodle. Okay. It's okay. If using the same IA prompt as classmates, you must choose different objects. Actually, something is badly rephrased here. The real TUK guide says that you can choose any IA prompt, but you cannot have any object that is similar to any of your classmates. And it doesn't matter if it's first D or first A or first B. It doesn't matter. Nobody should repeat the object. Okay, let's go back to the final commentary. 300 words. Please read the rubric when you answer, when you think about the exhibition. The TUK exhibition clearly identifies one object and it's a specific real-world context. Think about that it should be linked between the object and the IA prompt. There should be a strong justification for that contribution, for that particular contribution that the individual object makes to the exhibition. So you have to justify why you chose that object that helps you answer the question. It should be very clear. It says justification, which means you have to give reasons and evidence of why that helps. And of course, lastly, all the points are well supported by appropriate evidence. There we go. Explicit references to the selected IA prompt. So you have to explicitly mention, if we follow the example, you have to explicitly mention Words like certainty, attainable, to what extent, or limitations, something like that, but very explicitly. That should be it. It's 15-minute video. I'm sorry, I really tried to speak slower, but there is explanation. That is a brief explanation. Let me see. If you open Moodle, here you have the content. There's a guide of how to choose the object. I'm sorry. Of how to choose the object. At the very end, here it says what this activity was meant. It's not a graded activity, by the way. This activity is meant to help you find an object, or was meant to find an object, because that was last week's activity. You can choose, if you haven't chosen your object by now, choose any object. Doesn't matter if it's technological or it's from arts or from history, any object. The point is that that object helps you answer the question. That is the most important part. Okay, here's the right quote. Students in the same class are not permitted to use any of the same objects. Those are the true words. You can find an object that comes from your academic studies, something that is personal, or something that is a universal object, okay? And you should be able, well, this is something that we check individually with interviews. By the way, remember that you have this activity. This is the second activity that is graded, by the way. If you want to check that you haven't repeat your object, no thanks. Do you like it? Say yes, yeah, I like it. You can check here. Now, you can check here. You cannot repeat the object. Remember, there are some ideas for objects, but if we have a check, by the way, Carta Magna was already chosen. I'm going to be trying to write some ideas for objects. If you haven't chose one object, then you may choose from this pool from the ideas for objects. Okay, I hope that this is useful. Please pay attention to this video. I really think that we don't have more time, so because this video is meant for the people who were in the class for any reason, any justifiable reason, then please, this is a 20-minute video, please. It's just an explanation of the TOK project. Remember to read the guide, to read the summative file. Pay attention to the rubric. You don't have to bring the rubric for me, because you will find the rubric in Moodle once you deliver the activity or the activities, and I will grade on Moodle. Moodle looks like this. But for you, when you're working, use the final use the rubrics that I provided weeks ago. And with nothing more to say, I would like to say goodbye. Please, good luck. Work hard. Be happy. Work on yourself. Goodbye.